You're referring to a classic Hollywood countdown titled 17 Most Promiscuous Women of Classic Hollywood. One was too much, even for Sinatra, which appears to riff on the era's most scandalous romantic reputations, particularly those involving Frank Sinatra. I can't locate that exact video, but here's a curated list of 17 legendary actresses and film icons often described as notorious for their romantic lives or sexual freedom in old Hollywood. It includes context around Sinatra and who might have crossed the line even for him. Ava Gardner was one of the most alluring and controversial actresses of classic Hollywood. Known for her stunning beauty and magnetic presence, she captivated not just audiences but also some of the most powerful men in the industry, including Frank Sinatra. Their relationship was one of Hollywood's most passionate and turbulent romances. When Gardner married Sinatra in 1951, it caused a media frenzy, especially since Sinatra was still married to Nancy Sinatra at the time. The couple's love was intense, but so were the fights. Both were fiercely jealous and emotionally volatile, leading to explosive arguments and frequent separations. Gardner's free-spirited lifestyle and unwillingness to be tamed clashed with Sinatra's possessiveness and insecurity. Despite their deep love for each other, the marriage eventually crumbled under the weight of its own drama. Sinatra once admitted she was the love of his life, yet even he couldn't handle her wild spirit. Ava Gardner was, in every sense, too much, even for Frank Sinatra, a man known for his own tempestuous affairs and oversized personality. Elizabeth Taylor was one of the most iconic and controversial actresses in Hollywood history. Famous for her violet eyes and remarkable beauty, she was equally known for her tumultuous personal life. Taylor married 8 times to 7 different men, including 2 highly publicized marriages to actor Richard Burton. Their relationship was passionate, volatile, and often scandalous, drawing constant media attention. Before Burton, Taylor's affair with singer Eddie Fisher caused a national uproar. Fisher was married to actress Debbie Reynolds, America's sweetheart at the time, and the betrayal shocked fans. Taylor was labeled a homewrecker, and the scandal deeply damaged her public image. Her first marriage at 18 and a series of failed relationships fueled public fascination with her love life. When she and Burton fell in love during the filming of Cleopatra, their affair was condemned by the Vatican as erotic vagrancy, a rare and harsh judgment. Despite the criticism, Taylor lived on her own terms, unapologetic and bold. Her romantic history, though controversial, only solidified her status as a legendary, and unforgettable, figure of classic Hollywood. Jean Harlow, often called the original blonde bombshell, was one of Hollywood's most dazzling and controversial stars of the 1930s. With her platinum blonde hair, sultry screen presence, and bold attitude, she quickly became a sex symbol, and a favorite subject of tabloid gossip. Off-screen, Harlow's personal life was just as dramatic as her film roles. She was romantically linked to several leading men and reportedly had close ties to notorious mobsters, including relationships rumored to involve figures from organized crime. Her second husband, MGM producer Paul Byrne, died under mysterious circumstances just 2 months into their marriage, sparking endless speculation. Adding to the scandal, Harlow was said to have undergone a secret abortion early in her career, an act that would have been both illegal and career-ending if made public at the time. Despite the constant scrutiny, Harlow remained a top box office draw until her sudden death at age 26 from kidney failure. Her brief life, full of glamour, mystery, and controversy, helped define the image of the seductive, scandalous starlet in classic Hollywood. Marlene Dietrich was one of classic Hollywood's most enigmatic and provocative stars. Known for her sultry voice, androgynous style, and icy glamour, she exuded a magnetic sexuality that captivated both men and women. Dietrich was famously open about her bisexuality during a time when such openness was considered scandalous. She had a series of high-profile affairs with actors like Gary Cooper and John Gilbert, as well as writers such as Eric Maria Remarque. She also had romantic relationships with several women, including cabaret singer Suzanne Ball. Remarkably, many of these affairs overlapped, and her husband, Rudolph Sieber, was fully aware, often communicating with her lovers and even sharing letters. Dietrich's approach to love and relationships was unapologetically unconventional. She ignored Hollywood's moral expectations and lived by her own rules, often dressing in men's suits and challenging gender norms both on and off screen. Her allure wasn't just in her beauty but in her defiance of social conventions. Marlene Dietrich didn't just break the rules of old Hollywood, she rewrote them, becoming a symbol of sexual freedom and sophistication. Tallulah Bankhead was one of classic Hollywood's most outspoken and uninhibited stars. Known for her sharp wit, booming voice, and magnetic presence, she lived life with unapologetic boldness, especially when it came to sex and relationships. Openly bisexual in an era of rigid social norms, Bankhead was famously candid about her affairs with both men and women. She once described herself as ambisextrous, a clever nod to her fluid sexuality. Among her rumored lovers were actors, artists, politicians, and even royalty. Bankhead was never one to hide her desires. She famously quipped, "I want a man every 6 months, it's a long, long while." Her reckless charm and refusal to conform made her both admired and feared in Hollywood circles. Despite struggling with substance abuse and the fallout from her defiant behavior, she remained a legendary figure of stage and screen. Tallulah Bankhead broke nearly every rule expected of women in her time, embracing a wild, provocative persona that shocked polite society, but cemented her legacy as one of Hollywood's most unforgettable and uncontainable personalities. Clara Bow, the original "it girl" of the 1920s, was one of Hollywood's first true sex symbols. With her flapper style, expressive eyes, and magnetic screen presence, she defined the spirit of the Roaring Twenties. But behind the fame was a whirlwind of scandal and rumor. Bow's off-screen life became tabloid gold, filled with stories of wild parties, heavy drinking, and countless romantic entanglements. One of the most notorious rumors claimed she had slept with an entire USC football team, an outrageous and unverified claim, but one that stuck and damaged her reputation. Gossip columns couldn't get enough of her, and some of the stories, true or not, eventually led to her being labeled unstable and unfit for the screen. She lost her studio contract, and her career began to decline. Much of the backlash she faced came from being a woman who owned her sexuality in a time when that was taboo. Clara Bow's downfall was as sensational as her rise, but she remains a symbol of early Hollywood freedom, scandal, and the double standards placed on women in the spotlight. Joan Crawford was one of classic Hollywood's most ambitious and enduring stars, known as much for her dramatic off-screen life as for her powerful performances. Throughout her decades-long career, Crawford was frequently at the center of gossip columns, thanks to a string of high-profile affairs with some of the industry's most prominent men. She was romantically linked to Clark Gable, Spencer Tracy, and Douglas Fairbanks Jr., among others, often while they were married or involved with other women. Her relationships, real or rumored, kept her name in the headlines and contributed to her reputation as fiercely independent and unapologetically driven. Crawford was known to use her sexuality strategically, building connections that helped advance her career in a male-dominated studio system. Her glamorous image and relentless ambition often clashed with Hollywood's expectations of how women, especially mothers, should behave. Despite public scandals, she remained a major box office draw for years. Crawford's legacy is complex: a talented actress, a tough survivor, and a woman who refused to be limited by Hollywood's double standards. Her personal life only added to the mystique that still surrounds her today. Lana Turner, famously dubbed the Sweater Girl, was one of classic Hollywood's most glamorous and scandal-ridden actresses. Discovered as a teenager while sipping a soda at a drugstore, she quickly rose to stardom with her stunning looks and sultry screen presence. Off-screen, Turner's personal life became legendary, marked by multiple marriages and high-profile affairs with leading men and powerful figures. Her most infamous relationship was with mobster Johnny Stompanato, a violent and controlling man with deep ties to organized crime. Their relationship ended in tragedy in 1958 when Turner's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, stabbed Stompanato to death during a domestic dispute, claiming self-defense to protect her mother. The scandal rocked Hollywood and dominated national headlines, cementing Turner's reputation as a magnet for drama. Despite the controversy, she continued to have a successful career, appearing in major films and remaining a fixture in the tabloids. Lana Turner's beauty and talent made her a star, but her tumultuous love life and the shocking events surrounding Stompanato ensured she would be remembered as one of Hollywood's most scandalous and enduring icons. Rita Hayworth, known as the "love goddess" of the 1940s, was one of classic Hollywood's most alluring and tragic stars. With her fiery red hair and sensual dance moves, she became a symbol of desire during World War II. Her iconic pin-up photo was famously pasted on thousands of soldiers' barracks. But behind the glamorous image was a woman whose love life was marked by heartbreak and disappointment. Hayworth was married and divorced 5 times, including to legendary director Orson Welles and Prince Ali Khan, the son of a religious leader and a notorious playboy. Her marriage to Welles was strained by their careers, while her union with Ali Khan thrust her into global headlines and royal circles, only to end in divorce 2 years later. Despite her beauty and fame, Hayworth often said, "Men go to bed with Gilda, but wake up with me," referencing the character that made her a star and the disconnect between her public image and private reality. Rita Hayworth's romantic struggles, masked by a glamorous facade, added depth to her legacy as both a Hollywood icon and a symbol of unfulfilled longing. Ingrid Bergman, one of Hollywood's most respected actresses, shocked the world with a scandal that nearly ended her career. Known for her talent, elegance, and wholesome image, Bergman stunned fans in 1949 when she began a highly publicized affair with Italian director Roberto Rossellini. At the time, both were married, Bergman to Swedish Dr. Petter Lindström, with whom she had a daughter, and Rossellini to screenwriter Marcella de Marchis. When Bergman became pregnant with Rossellini's child, the backlash was swift and severe. The affair caused a national uproar in the United States, prompting condemnation from religious groups, the public, and even members of Congress. Senator Edwin C. Johnson went so far as to call her a powerful influence for evil, denouncing her on the Senate floor. Hollywood blacklisted her, and she lived in exile in Italy for several years. Despite the scandal, Bergman eventually returned to American cinema, winning an Oscar for Anastasia in 1957. Her resilience and unmatched talent helped her reclaim her place in film history. Still, the Rossellini affair remains one of the most shocking and controversial moments of classic Hollywood.